Welcome to the chapter Understand Cloud Service Models. Here, I'll explain what the cloud is, its key characteristics, cloud service models, and the shared responsibility model. Have you ever wondered why it's called cloud computing? Here's my perspective on it. If you have ever flown in an aircraft high up in the sky, I'm sure you must have noticed a couple of things from your window seat. Firstly, clouds have this distinctive property where smaller pieces of clouds can seamlessly blend into larger clouds, and larger chunks of clouds can seamlessly fragment into smaller pieces. If I had to oversimplify it, this is sort of what happens to computing resources in cloud computing. You can combine computing resources together to provision smaller or larger pieces out of it in cloud computing. Secondly, you may have also noticed that clouds in the sky always seem to extend beyond the horizon, almost as if to infinity. That's again similar to the aggregate of computing resources in cloud computing. For all practical purposes, there's an infinite amount of computing resources for you to provision in cloud computing. And therefore, I believe this name makes so much sense. Now let's see what it actually is. At the center of every IT enabled business is an application that is absolutely critical for the organization to function. It keeps the business alive and the revenues coming in. For example, think of the banking application that banks use, the healthcare application that hospitals use, or the ticketing application that airlines use. Can you imagine how they would function without them? It would be borderline impossible for those businesses to survive without their application in today's world. To top that, modern businesses have a global reach. They have users all around the world in different time zones, expecting the application to be accessible anywhere at any time. Every minute matters. So it's clear that keeping their application up and running is a priority for all businesses. This is where things become a little inconvenient. You need a lot of supporting components to run this business application at a level where it can match those high expectations. Things like expensive server hardware, networking devices, and storage appliances, the wires, cables, and the connections between them. Then these hardware components need redundant power supplies, redundant cooling, and redundant internet connections to be on and connected. They all need to be redundant in case any one of them fails. For the safekeeping of these components, you need a secure physical space, and you know how exorbitant real estate prices are. Then, on top of the hardware, you need to install an operating system and potentially bear the cost of its licensing. This operating system needs regular maintenance by applying software patches and hotfixes to keep it up to date. Then, the application itself has a direct dependency on frameworks and runtime environments that it requires to run. And finally, there's data that is generated as a result of the use of this application. Not to mention, you have to secure the whole thing from top to bottom, physically and digitally. Handling all of this can be a daunting challenge. This is called the traditional IT stack. And when you build the whole stack yourself in your own corporate location, we refer to it as an on premises environment, or simply on premises. Remember, the priority of most businesses is the application and its data, not the underlying components. Let me explain using an analogy. Imagine it's raining on a cozy evening. You're snuggled up in a blanket, and all you want to do is eat some cake. Let's accept it, we've all been there. Now imagine someone tells you if you want to eat cake, you should go to the kitchen, switch on the microwave, mix flour, milk, eggs, butter, sugar, bake the cake yourself, and apply the frosting to eat it. Wouldn't you be mad? I would be furious, and probably even throw a shoe at them. I know you agree with me, but luckily, we have a solution for that. Our civilization has evolved enough to have confectionery stores where you can order the cake as a service sitting comfortably at home. Not only that, but you can also order as many slices of as many flavors you like. That's true freedom, in my opinion. The confectionery store in this case becomes the cake service provider. Now, my question to you is, if you don't like to bake your own cake, why should you unnecessarily build your own IT stack? Sounds counterproductive, right? That's where cloud computing comes to the rescue. Cloud is like the confectionery store of the IT world. You can get access to any computing resources you need as a service. The entity providing them is called the Cloud Service Provider or CSP. In the context of AZ900, Microsoft is the cloud service provider and the name of their cloud is Azure, meaning bright blue skies. Here's a simple definition of the cloud based on what we just witnessed. Cloud computing is the delivery of any computing resources from the IT stack as a service by a cloud service provider.